Good morning, my friends. This morning is a quiet morning. I have been playing with my fiber, and this is my last row lag that I need to spin up. I've done all the rest of it, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And the footage in the pasture was from a little over a week and a half ago. Just before my husband started his new teaching position. Anyway, that was Sunday afternoons are such a lovely time, a peaceful time, a spiritual time. And so I talk a little bit about peace, which I think is something that our world is starving for right now. We're all desperate for peace, and it's very difficult to find, especially if you're in a city, especially if you're anxious. Especially if you're in relationships that are not peaceful, that are full of conflict. If you have friends or family who seem intent on conflict instead of peace, it's very, very difficult. Anyway, but my goal, and I hope your goal, is to find some peace in this world. And it's so worth it. It's a balm for the soul. It prepares us for heaven, helps us to love our neighbors, our friends and family better. If our hearts are peaceful, it's easier for us to extend peace to others. And of course, that's what we want to do. There's also a little footage of corn being cut in our area. Now, this footage was from about a month ago, and I've been saving it up to put it on a video, and I thought this might be a good one because it's very peaceful to live in an agricultural area if you're not doing the farming yourself. I feel for the farmers. They must have nerves of steel. But if you just live here and you're watching it, it's lovely to watch the rhythmic change of the seasons, the harvesting, the planting, all the things that happen in nature that kind of remind us that we also are on a cycle in our lives, and that everything passes. Everything does pass eventually. All the sorrows of life eventually are gone. Anyway, before I start waxing way too eloquent, let's go for a walk. Come on, Bobo. It's Sunday afternoon, about 4:30. I came out to see if I have any eggs, and I do. Thank you, hens. Just 2 eggs today. That's just fine. That's what I've been eating every morning. I love to walk around in the pasture. We've fixed the old burn pile. Pretty soon it'll have new grass growing up in it, and we're going to turn it into a nice fire pit instead. Oh, there's a branch down. I love to walk out here because out here there is no pandemic. Honestly, there's nothing in this field that's even touched by the COVID pandemic. The sun rises and sets like it always does. It rises over there, sets over there. The leaves are green in the spring and start turning a little brown in the fall. The temperatures are cooling. It's really nice right now in the shade, and by the end of this week, it will be very cool. Adam is still working on the dependency, and he started dragging some old wood out of the barn. He's hoping this one looks terrible. That needs to go in the burn pile, which is probably the reason it's sitting there. But some of it is in good shape, and he's going to use it for walls and maybe shelving over in the little house. This is the benefit of having a few acres, is you have a place to go that is away from the bad stuff in the world. If I sit on my laptop and I read the news, oh my goodness. It's like COVID is everywhere, but out here it's not. I love the shadows on those trees. Soon all these trees will be bare, except the great pine tree. I love this tree. It's actually getting more Virginia creeper going up it. We need to take that off. Virginia creeper looks a lot like poison ivy, but it has 5 leaves instead of 3. It's a wonderful pine tree. And it has a huge skirt of needles that build up in a dome around it. We thought we would hate the traffic sound, and it's not great, but we have gotten used to it, and it kind of has a rumbly, rhythmic pattern to it. There's so many little baby pine trees out here. All kinds of stuff growing on the floor. I call this the pine copse. There's really only one pine tree, but it does dominate. And there's a little group of trees here. This is the old hammock hook, and the other one's on the tree right there. Tricky is wandering far into the field. She's looking for what we affectionately call a poo-poo spot. She'll find it in a minute. The sound of the birds, the whisper of the leaves. This is very calming and very healing for the spirit. I'm going to go take a peek in the garden. I should probably remind you, this is not going to be a vegetable garden anymore. Whenever Adam has time, which he has very little time now, he's taken a second job. And I don't know when he's going to do all these projects now, but the plan is to take out the lining of all these beds and take down the hoop house. And he's going to eventually take down the fence too, and this will become pasture again, and he'll just mow it. Nothing wrong with that. That's what it was before. I do have some elderberry trees, bushes, that I'd like to still keep, and a little bit of lavender. There's a rosemary back here too in its own bed, and there's a lovely asparagus patch, as you know. It doesn't hurt my heart too bad to stop gardening. I was never very good at it. I was good at it in the spring, but terrible in summer. Hey, Tricky, come back out of there. Looks a little weedy and snaky. I don't know if I've ever shown you our willow circle. What we hope will someday be a willow dome, which is almost a structure. It's like a little house in a circle with a dome roof, and it's all made out of willow. Because willow grows here so easily. And we stuck these in maybe a year and a half ago. And we have not been tending to it very well, but they're continuing to grow. It needs to be mowed or probably weed-eated in the middle. Most of these willows did root and are taken off, but they're not big enough yet to lace together. You kind of have to weave the branches together, and so the branches have to be pretty long. But they are in a circle, as you see. But the middle is quite weedy. Some of the bigger ones actually did not do, and so I put a smaller one next to it, and those did. No, that actually came out of the side. The smaller ones seem to do better. Even the bigger, wow, that one's doing well. I haven't looked at this in a very long time. That's just a weed. Like this, look at this one. Now eventually we will, there's chickens rustling around over there. Eventually we will cut off any of the branches that stick out this way or stick in that way, and we'll just keep the ones that go side to side. And once they get close enough to each other that we can kind of tie them together or lace them together somehow, we'll do that. This one's actually getting quite long. This one, I think, is the tallest. Look at that. These are all swamp willows. They're not a fine willow, but they grow as fast as a willow. There's one of the dead ones that didn't take. I used to feel embarrassed about showing y'all our weedy-looking farm that looks a little neglected. And then I've seen other people over in England whose little plots also look kind of tired and overgrown by this time of year. And it made me feel better that everything doesn't have to be tidy. And it's certainly not tidy here. My husband's been very ill for about 1.5 years, since the very beginning of COVID. And he is the workhorse. He's the one who did all the hard work. The dogs and I, we don't do much. We don't do much. And so things have kind of ground to a bit of a halt. He still keeps it mowed, and now he's got a second job as a teacher, which he's very excited about. Which means he'll be gone during the day, 5 days a week, and I will be home trying to be more productive. And I may actually get around to some of the long-term projects that have been shoved to the back burner. All right. Tricky says it's time to go back in. I can hear Adam chatting on his phone too. All right. See, my spirit is a little more calm after being out here. Oh, the shovel. I need to get the shovel. I'm going to take it back to the garage. Good thing I came out here. Come on.